Well, hello everyone. I'm Anya Esma, and I was honestly just recording a tarot reading for my Patreons, my patrons. That's how you say it, not Patreons. And it was so much fun that I thought, let's do it together on this channel. Essentially, I'm going to do a collective reading, which means it's not going to apply to everyone. Take this with a grain of salt. If you're just watching this because you're in the mood to watch me interpret cards and you find that interesting, that's also totally fine. Just take what resonates and leave the rest, as we like to say in the spiritual sphere. I also have a hot cocoa, so if you want to get a hot drink, do that now because we're going to be reading some cards and you can read alongside me because that's a lot more fun and you get a lot cooler messages than if you're just watching me read. All right. I hope you couldn't hear me swallow. I know some people find it so disgusting to hear people like chew and swallow and stuff. Anyways, today I'm going to be reading with the Flux Arcana Tarot. It's a quite dark deck, I would say, which makes me doubt why I chose that for the June reading for my patrons. But I guess it's just a nice contrast, between the month that summer is officially starting versus the kind of gothy imagery of this, the kind of dark imagery. So we're going to get started by drawing 3 cards. If you want to draw alongside me, I highly recommend that because then you can get a nicer, more specific, more precise reading for yourself because I'm going to talk about general stuff. And if you have your own cards with you, then you can see how the stuff I say applies to you. My hand looks so creepy if I hold them like this. That looks crazy. Wow. Anyway, so I'm going to pause the video and shuffle the cards and draw the cards, and then we're going to interpret together. So get ready, take a breath, get a drink, get your deck, light a candle, whatever you want to do to create a vibe that's nice for you so you can get the best insights. Get a journal if you want, and then we're going to get started. All right, I did the shuffling, I drew the cards. Let me tell you what I drew. Or what you will draw from your deck as well. The first card that you draw is beneficial energies that surround you right now. So, an energy that will be positive for you. The second card is not beneficial energies, detrimental energies, you could say, or just energies that you don't really want to tune into at the moment, that are not helpful to you for your growth. And then the third card I drew is what we can learn right now or this month or however long you want to take this reading. Usually I draw a spirit card as the third card for my patrons, but as I was drawing the cards, I realized I wanted rather to ask what we can learn because it just kind of ties the spread together. On my Patreon, I did read with these cards as well. So if at any point you want more of these interpretations, feel free to head over to my Patreon because there's more. All right. So you can pause the video, shuffle your cards, draw the card positions that you need, and then continue if you want to. I'm going to start interpreting the cards now. So first of all, for the beneficial energy that's surrounding us, very cool, is the Fool. I'll first show you all the cards and then we'll interpret. Then as the not beneficial energy or the energy to avoid, we have the 9 of Pentacles. And then as the what can we learn right now, we have the 3 of Cups. All right, let's get into it. Just like with the Patreon reading, I'm getting really clear messages right now, which is the whole point that I'm doing this video because I feel like I'm just on a roll, and I hope you are too as you interpret them. So with the beneficial energy, we have the Fool card here. A very strong, very obvious message of daring to do what you want to do without thinking about the risks too much. We're going to get some more context for this from the last card, I think, but I will get to that in a second. First of all, I want to draw your attention to the fact that instead of the little bundle that you have with the Fool in the Rider-Waite-Smith, you know, they're carrying this little hiking bundle that people in movies always have when they're wandering the land. Not huge suitcases like us, but just a little bundle. But instead, this figure here, this skeleton figure, has a, oh my God, what do you call it in English? I'm German, so I'm not a native speaker. In German, we call it Sense, and now I forgot what you call it. A scythe, a scythe. God bless that I remembered. So you have the scythe here instead of the little bundle that this figure is carrying. And let's think about how that changes the interpretation. Because in the usual Rider-Waite-Smith, you have this idea of not taking a lot with you and just going to whatever may scare you the most and just doing it rather than being stuck in a position of trying to keep everything, trying to make everything stay the same. Instead, you are going on a risky adventure, whether that is mentally, physically, or spiritually, or whatever. It doesn't need to be an actual journey, an actual adventure. It can also be an adventure of the mind. But here we have a little bit of a different idea of really not taking anything with you, but taking a tool that you can use to reap the benefits of whatever you have sown before. Because essentially a scythe, of course, it can be a battle tool, but mostly it is used for harvesting. And I think we have this idea here that you kind of, I don't want to say finance. I can say finance. You know, you want to finance your adventure, not in advance, not by taking what you already have, but by opening yourself to the gifts and the fruits of your labor from before, and trusting that those fruits will come through, that you will have something to harvest. So instead of holding on to something and taking it with you everywhere, dragging it with you, you are freeing yourself of the expectation that you already need to have everything and then minimize the risk of your journey, and rather rely on the fact that as you go on the journey, you will have enough to harvest, you will have enough things to draw from to sustain yourself. So to be a little bit more direct and less philosophical, I always tend to be very philosophical. This could be about making a decision, or making it easier to make a decision for you if you have been thinking about taking a risk in any way, whether that is moving house, whether that is quitting your job and trusting that you will be provided for, whether that is leaving a relationship that is very bad for you and you might think without this relationship you will never find love again, but trusting that you will, and so on and so forth. So since this is the Fool, it can be about huge changes like that, but it can also be about small changes. On my Patreon this month, I'm speaking a lot about the idea of slowness and the luxury of having time. And I think this could also play into that, because sometimes even small things feel incredibly risky for us. Sometimes having a slow morning without rushing, without, rushing to get ready, rushing to get out of the door or wherever you need to go. I'm in home office, thankfully, so I don't have to get out the door, but still I have this idea of rushing to get to work. And it can feel like a big risk to then take time and take a shower that takes longer, turn on some music, turn on a nice little light like this one in the shower, and just relaxing a little bit. It can feel counterintuitive and can feel like you're going against the expectations that the world has and that you have for yourself. And it feels like taking a risk. It feels like walking off the ledge, because we live in a society where essentially we think that it's a huge risk when you're not productive 100% of the time, or when you're taking things a bit slower, even though you're still productive. You're just doing things a little bit differently. You're just doing things that are better for your mental and your physical health. And the Fool also refers to small changes like that. So use this card to think about what scares you, what feels like a risk, whether it's a huge thing or a small thing, a small change in your everyday life, or a huge move across the country or whatever. Think about that, because right now it is a beneficial time to take risks like that and to make big or small changes to your everyday life and reap the benefits of what you have sown before, rather than thinking you need to push through all the time, not take risks, have ultimate security, and so on and so forth. So that's the first card. Then secondly, with the not so beneficial energy, we have the Nine of Pentacles. Also a very fun card. I love that this deck has very unusual representations that are a lot different from the usual Rider-Waite-Smith cards. Since it doesn't have a guidebook with it, I'm not actually sure whether maybe this is based on other systems. It could be also based on um, the Thoth deck or something. I'm not quite sure about that, because I don't think there's much content that the artist has published about what inspired the cards, or at least I haven't found it. It's not with the deck. So, Nine of Pentacles as the card that is the not beneficial energy. So, let's look at what we see here. We see a figure, once again, holding a pentacle, which represents it can be financial wealth, it can be health, it can be um, goods that you have that are valuable, can be spiritual treasures as well. And then you have 8 pentacles, a position next to the person. So there's a few ways we can interpret this, of course. I think my favorite way, since this is the energy that we're supposed to avoid, would be to say that this is cautioning you to not keep your gifts and your resources just to yourself. Because you can see that it doesn't look like this person is going to get any of those 9 of those 8 other pentacles. They have their one pentacle and they're satisfied with it. They're kind of looking at the other ones, but they are really holding on tightly, not outstretching a hand towards the others, but really holding on tightly to what they have, rather than maybe sharing as well, or rather than letting that energy flow out. And if we make this about finances, I gotta say that the more tight you are with your money, the less it flows in your life. I know that this kind of idea of all energy is money and you just have to manifest it and it will flow into your life is not something that I would apply in every life situation or for every person who's not as privileged to have as much money. But I still think that the more you obsess about what you have, the more you are worried and in a state of smallness and scarcity about, I have to hold on to what I have, the less relaxed you will be about accepting more of it, about bringing more of it into your life. And I know that's very hard if you don't have a lot of money to not stress about it. But I think if you look at the Fool and the whole risk aspect in comparison, this is also bringing the idea of changing your relationship to finances and to money, and maybe being less scarce about it and less worried about it, and opening your mind to being a little bit more free flowing with it. this could honestly about anything. So if you don't feel like the whole money aspect applies to you, maybe it's also about something else, because there are many things that we hold on to. We hold on to our health. We try to make sure our health is great, and sometimes we make the biggest mistakes by trying to make sure that we are the healthiest. Especially nowadays with reels, we see so much content about health, so much content about what you need to be doing in order to be healthy. And I've heard of so many people taking supplements and, overdosing. Oh, not literally dying. That's not what I mean by overdosing, but having too much of, iron or zinc or any sort of mineral that you can have too much of in your body. And that happens because we think we're doing something good for our health and we're holding on to it so tightly. We're trying to control it so much that we end up making it worse. And I feel like the Nine of Pentacles is reminding us of that, of this idea of trying to hold on to something that we can't necessarily control, whether that is money, whether that is health, whether that is certain mindsets that we have that we think will keep us safe. And in reality, they are limiting us and they are making us feel small and limited and tense, just like this figure holding the pentacle and thinking this pentacle will save their goddamn life, even though there's so much more out there that they have no access to with those 8 pentacles floating next to them. So yeah, that's what I see in this card. Interestingly, in the reading for my patrons, I had the 10 of Pentacles, and it was a little bit of a similar message, but still a little different. This one can also mean that you are supposed to share more of your resources, whether that is your mental resources, your time resources, your financial resources. That can mean donating, it can mean volunteering, it can mean being there for a friend, etc., etc. So sharing resources rather than kind of hoarding them for yourself. I don't know if you heard that creepy noise just now. I never know what that is. It happens quite a lot in my building, and I never know what it is. Anyway, the 3 of Cups. This is the how can we grow? What can we learn? Let me take a sip of my cocoa. You can take a sip of your drink, and then we get to the last card. Ooh, that had like little cocoa pieces in it. All right, let's talk about the last card. The 3 of Cups. Traditionally, it is all about being social, about sharing your energy with friends, celebrating a win with friends, and also sharing emotions, building an emotional connection essentially with friends. Now, I think with this one, we obviously only have one figure, and then we have a little bit of a separation between the figure and the cups here. If you're looking closely, I don't know if it will go sharp, but anyway. So if you look closely, you can see that the person also has their right hand in front of their chest, and then the left hand outstretched, looking a little bit like they're summoning something. And then the 3 cups are just floating there, emanating a magical glow. So what I'm taking from this is that you can learn how to facilitate emotional connection between others. That could be within your family, that could be, with your parents or with your caretakers, with your children, with your own children, with your friends. It could apply to any of those, and facilitating and giving them the space to connect with each other. Because with this figure, you kind of have the idea of a puppet master, kind of facilitating that these 3 cups are there. They look kind of happy. They're like dancing around. if you imagine that. And that's really what I'm seeing here, this idea of facilitating that other people have fun, that other people make a strong connection. If I'm thinking of myself as well, my own life, it could also mean something like organizing a party with people who maybe don't know each other yet, or with people who know each other but don't have a close connection. So creating a circle for those people where they can be closer to each other. And it's always a scary thing to do that, which I think that's why it is in the learning part of this reading. And it kind of goes with the Fool very well as well. The whole idea of you have to take a risk, because to me, I don't know, maybe it's different for other people, but I'm very introverted. I love my alone time. I love being at home. I don't really throw parties or anything like that. And that's why it feels like a risk whenever I bring people together. I'm like, are they going to have fun? Do they know each other? Do they like each other? Do they have something to talk about? And that's why I always feel like a fool whenever I organize something like that, because it's like a step into the unknown. And I have a lot of fears surrounding that are maybe unnecessary even. And then with the Three of Cups, you have this idea that it's going to go well, that you are facilitating a connection between others, that you are not at the center of it. You're not the center. You're not the point of this event, this little celebration, or this little meetup, or this circle that you are organizing. The point is not that you have fun and that you are the focus of attention, but the point is that you facilitate connection between others. And that's a lesson that's coming up now. So that is the third card that we have here. So to sum it up, looking at the cards once again, we have as the beneficial energy to dare things, to take risks, and to trust that whatever you have sown before, whatever mental or physical work you've done, will carry you through this journey. And you are strong enough to do it, and you are provided for by the things you have done before and by the universe, represented here by the scythe as the harvesting tool to harvest your wins as you go on that journey. Then secondly, with the card, what you should avoid, we have this idea of hoarding all of your stuff for yourself, not sharing your resources, not looking beyond what you could have, but really just focusing on holding on to old beliefs, holding on to a mindset of limited scarcity, and so on and so forth. And then lastly, as what you can learn, we have the Three of Cups as the idea of facilitating emotional connection between other people. Very beautiful reading. I'm very happy how this turned out, and I'm really happy to share this with you. And if you want more of this, as I said, I do have a Patreon. This month is all about slowness, about the luxury of having time. I share a podcast episode where I talk all about that, about the benefits of slowness. I also have a collective reading like this, and I also offer you affirmations to have more time in the day, to feel like you have more time in the day, a little bit of temporal magic, and also journaling prompts to help you unlock any fears you might have, overcome any fears you might have that surround you wanting to stay in a state of anxiety and fastness rather than slowing down. So yeah, journaling prompts, a little podcast essay, affirmations, and a general reading. And I have that for many, many months before that as well. So there's a lot that you can watch, because as soon as you join the Patreon, of course, you get access to all of the content that I've done before. So thank you so much for being here. Let me know what you drew, what cards you drew in the comments. I would love to hear what your interpretations are of these cards or of your own cards, how it applies to you. And that's it. That was this little read the cards with me and have fun. I hope you enjoyed it. It's unedited, so appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate that I did this without having the obsession of editing it and being a little bit more real. Because sometimes, let me just go on a little tangent here at the end. Sometimes it's really hard to upload YouTube videos because I feel like I have to record them. I have to be perfect. I have to have the perfect lighting. I have to then edit them on my laptop and then upload them, which takes a lot longer. It takes 3 times as long as just making a video and then literally uploading it like I'm doing now. So let me know if these are okay for you. I know the quality is not as good because it's a selfie camera, because I couldn't do the back camera right now. But yeah, it's just easier for me, and I would rather do more content for you than always limit myself so much and think that everything needs to be perfect, right? Makes sense. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, like, look at my Patreon, whatever you want to do, and I will see you next time. Bye 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 bye.